Hello world, this is Jeffrey, JGB146 Blake for Hoopa Hideout, and I'm back. So, as you know, if you've been following things, I've been gone for a while, a couple months, and I was off having surgery. It went fairly well, but there were some complications, which meant that instead of being gone for a couple weeks, it became a couple months. I haven't been wholly, out of the scene. I used the TCG Masters Online Simulator to do a whole lot of testing while I was not able to do anything but kind of lay around because of the surgery. And then when I got to the point that I was capable, I did go and play in a couple cups, and then I went to Louisville Regionals. So we'll start with the cup. That was the first thing I played. I hadn't played in like a month and a half physically, just what I was playing on the simulator, and it went rather well. I got second place. I lost to a local slash guy. I mean, he has a place here in Oklahoma in the Tulsa area, but he also is more from, I think he said New Mexico, somewhere in the New Mexico, Nevada area at least. His name was Andy. He was playing a build of Palkia, and I was devastating him in game one, but I spent too many resources, and he was able to boss stall for so many turns that it basically gave him game. I was going to be able to get out of the active. He like Radiant Charizard. I benched. I shouldn't have, but it was a. I said it was Palkia. It was a Golden Go Palkia list, and when I was like Golden Go, I was like Metal is weak to fire, ergo Radiant Charizard. But you don't need Radiant Charizard to take the knockout there, and with the 3 retreat cost, it's impossible to really have a Radiant Zard powered up and multiple Regidragos, and it ends up being messy. So it didn't work out. I ended up getting second place in that cup, which, I mean, it does work out. I've made 90 points with Regidrago from the 2 cups that I played it in, and that's pretty good. Then I went to another cup the next weekend in Arkansas. It was sort of a test to see if I could pilot Drago well enough after being in the car for a few hours. And it went pretty well. I actually learned a lot at that cup about the deck. I followed my coach's instructions. I'm a coach for a lot of people, but I get coaching too. And one of the things that I've learned this season is about continual improvement and taking notes and learning from the notes and figuring out, you can lose a game because the right pieces are prized. That happens to everybody. But generally speaking, if you knew your prizes ahead of time and you could play better, you would have been able to play around that somehow. So even if it's like, oh, I prized like everything that I think I needed, there might have been a way to play things differently to have a slightly better chance going forward. So I guess what I'm kind of beating around the bush about is that I think the best way to improve as a player is after every single game, write down what you did wrong. Write down something you could have done better. Now also write down what you did right. Write the best thing you did in the game and the worst thing you did in the game. I think physically writing it out is optimal. It's not always possible, but I think that's where you want to go with it. And this can also help you kind of train to be taking notes throughout a game. You're trying to write on your opponent's time if you're writing during the games. And it's a very powerful thing. So, like I say, I learned things that helped a lot as my games continued. Just little tiny mistakes, like the benching of Radiant Charizard. Like I played a Super Rod in one game where I thought I still had both Super Rods in deck. I could have checked the discard before actually playing the Super Rod, and I could have seen that that one of them was already there, but it didn't. So I learned. It sounds simple, it sounds silly, it sounds like something I should already know, and to a large extent, yes. But it's a reminder of a little thing I did wrong that I'm not going to do wrong again, as long as I keep the things that I've done wrong in mind. And there's just lots of little optimizations you can learn how to make to go from being competent with a deck to being really good with it. And that's sort of the journey that I've been on and continue to be on with any deck I pilot. I guess I could run through the deck list that I'm playing real quick. For those of you familiar with Regidrago, or that I played, I'll do another video talking about some other things I'm looking at. But for the Cups and Louisville, this is what I played. And those of you familiar with Regidrago are going to be familiar with a lot of this. It's actually 57 cards of the 60 card list that John Ing was playing when he last played Regidrago, or the last time I saw, I guess right before, so I guess it would have been Baltimore, or no, the special events. 59 or 57 of the 60 cards, and the differences are differences I strongly believe in. So I played a 1 of Luminion and a 1 of Crispin. Both are actually very powerful. You've seen Luminion pop into some lists since Louisville, but it's huge. It's very helpful to drawing out of a bind. Crispin is also huge because if you get a single attachment turn 1 onto a Regidrago V who doesn't get knocked out, as long as Crispin's in your deck and you have a way to get Luminion, that Regidrago V can become a V-Star and attack the following turn immediately. Obviously, there's going to be some finessing to get the right attackers in the discard, but that's how Regidrago plays. But being able to Crispin and get 2 energies into play with no energy switches is huge. You can reuse Crispin when you V-Star if you want to. And like I say, Luminion can get you any other supporter too if Crispin's not the right fit, if you don't need a Crispin because you've got energy switches or whatever. But one of the things that this combo adds that makes it so huge is that, you can attack turn 2 without using any energy switches. You can then V-Star, so you could attack turn 2 specifically with Kirim. And I've done that a lot, and that's where I've blown a lot of decks out of the water. They don't think the Drago's going to be capable of it, and then I do it, and they cry. Because it's not hard. If you can pull that off without using your V-Star, it's not hard to then come back, use Legacy Star, and do it again the next turn. Because you've got 4 energy switches left still. So you do it again. You can conceivably Kirim 3 times, maybe even 4 in a single game, if all you're trying to do is Kirim. A lot of games that's not the right play, but you can do it back-to-back turns multiple times, and that's just huge. So I very firmly believe in this difference. I tried the Hoot Hoot knockdown combo that is, that's 2 of the 3 cards that are different, and I didn't like it because your bin space is tight. You have to prep by having the Hoot Hoot out, whereas Luminion is just to play it and go type of thing. So I feel like Luminion's the better option, and that's about it. I don't actually remember what the other card that I'm different from John was, but it was pretty minor. So that's the deck list as a whole. I'm obviously not going through and explaining every single card. If you want to see a full deck profile of me breaking down how every card works and how they interact, we can do that too. That's not what this video is for. I think I've covered everything I needed to. This video was mostly about catching up on how my life's been, how my play's been. But like I said, this Drago list is where I've ended up. It's what I played at the second cup. It's 59 of the 60 cards that I played at the cup that I got second place in. The difference is that I did not play Luminion, but Luminion being in there is a huge win. In the second cup, the Arkansas Cup, I went 3-2 and bubbled out of Top Cut, and the games that I lost were games where I started a Pokemon that couldn't do anything. Like I start Kyurem or Radiant Charizard and just fell behind because of that. So I'm okay with bubbling out of Top Cut when it's literally because I started Radiant Charizard and went Attach Pass and never saw another playable card. That's a good loss, because I couldn't have done better. And the games that I won, I learned things. It was, like I say, it's the way you want to go. Fast forward to Louisville. So Arkansas was like 2 hours away, 2 hours getting there, 2 hours coming back. It was tolerable with my surgery, which, for those of you who didn't watch the previous video, it was to my butt. So that makes it kind of hard to sit for long periods of time. I actually got special permission at the Tulsa Cup and the Arkansas Cup and at Louisville to bring my own chair, complete with a big old thick pillow, and for what I needed specifically, it had no hard under surface. It's like a camping chair that's a fabric seat, so it conforms to you and doesn't have a hard barrier that puts pressure back on you, on me, on the sore parts. So that was very helpful in the cups. At Louisville, I had been in the car for over 12 hours. We hit rush hour at least once on the way there, and I was very sore. And then I had walked quite a bit further than post-surgery Jeffrey was really ready to do, than I'm really ready to do now. And that left me kind of struggling. So I got there, and I made some mistakes. Every single round I made a mistake. But I think that in many cases they were they were bigger mistakes than the slight misplays that I was just talking about. I lost the first round against a fairly new Gardevoir player just because I didn't manage her time very well. She took 30 plus minutes of a 38-minute game one. I could have scooped. Maybe I should have scooped. She had to get an exact 4-card combination or I had game the following turn. But more importantly, I should have done a lot more to make the time spent in the game equitable and, be that guy that calls judge on her repeatedly for taking too long, as she'd spent, 30, 45 seconds making a decision repeatedly. And it was no fault, like, no shame. She wasn't trying to slow play. She just had not fully mastered the deck. And, thinking for a little bit once or twice is fine, but doing it every single turn, you have to, that's not allowed. Because it forces a situation where you're spending 4 times as much time as your opponent playing. And that's not fair to anybody. But anyway, so I took an L there, and then won against Terapagos and against Dragapult. And then I lost a really close game to Lugia, and lost a really close game to Palkia. Palkia, I say game, set. The Palkia one wasn't as close. Like, they too owed me. One of the games I had outs. The other one they just kind of ran over me. But that was game 2. They just ran over me. So it was like, okay. But at that point, normally if I go to an event, I want to play the whole. I want to play as much Pokemon as I can, get as much experience as I can, learn as many things as I can. But I'm copping out. But I will say that my play was dramatically influenced by the pain that I was feeling. I had static seating. I got to stay in one place, and that helped a lot. I had my own chair, which improved the comfort level, but it was still, by the end of round 2, I was still hurting. I don't regret going because, when I signed up for regionals at the start of the season, I signed up for Baltimore, couldn't go, and then I was able to go to Louisville, even if I couldn't do my best at it. And I had a decent time. I had a good time overall. Just, would have liked to have played better. So I don't regret it, but I am going to kind of shut down my competitive season this year. I'm just going to play in local events from here on, mostly because I expect to have to go back and have another surgery. We already knew that was going to happen, and the complications that I mentioned kind of made that more likely. So at some point that's going to happen before the end of the year. And so in the meantime, realizing that I'm not going to make, go deep in any events for the first half of the year, in a year where, only the top 125 players can qualify, I don't think I'm good enough that I can get there only playing half the season. So I'm just not. I'm going to play local stuff. I'm going to try to win, cups throughout the seasons and just go from there. We'll see how it goes. But what that does mean is that whenever I'm capable of actually sitting in between surgery times, I'm going to be around to talk with you guys. So going to be a lot more content, more regular content coming from me than there's been in the past. And I'll give you a sneak peek as to what that means. So I haven't decided what all exactly I'm doing, but once I get everything processed and ready to go, we will be having a continual series that I'm calling a progression series. That's what I've heard it referred to in most places. If you're a fan of Azul and Chip Ritchie, then you might know it by an evolution series. But basically, what I'm going to be doing, I've got 3 other people, so 4 of us total, and we're each getting half of a booster box from each set in Scarlet and Violet, like all of Scarlet and Violet. We're starting at base set, we get half of a booster box, and we build our decks from the half of the booster box that we get. We then have a best of 3 2-round tournament, a single elimination to find the winner of our 4 people. And then that person gets a prize. The other people get pity packs. If they were, 3rd and 4th, get 2 prize packs and 3 packs from the set. And then second place gets one prize pack and 1 pack from the set. And the first place gets the prize. So Scarlet and Violet base set. The prize card is a full art Arven. And then I know we've already got the Palkia Evolved one figured out. The prize card there is going to be a full art Iona. And then we'll go from there going forward. We'll figure it out. But so that's what we're going to be doing. There's going to be some giveaways thrown in. I don't have all of that planned out and figured out just yet. But look forward to seeing some of that soon because it's coming. I think that about sums up everything I've got to fill you in on right now. If you made it this far, I really have to say thank you, and I will see you next time.